Okay, let's dig into some news of the week. Let's start with Spotify because we both tried Spotify maybe like a year ago.
I've tried Spotify twice.
Andrew,
prior to
whenever Andrew got me going on it, that was the first time I tried it again, and then it wasn't working, and I went back, and then recently went back to it again last couple months.
It was actually my go-to back in 2012-ish.
Yeah.
Like that been when it first came.
I was on Spotify
because
back
it came
in the day
out.
too,
I had an iPhone at the time.
Mm-hmm.
It was the only iPhone I ever had, and one of the girls in the front office at the dealership that I worked at was always had Spotify playing on her computer when I got there. So
yeah,
I mean,
there
wasn't a whole lot to choose from. Back then.
It's a great service, but there were some issues with some casting.
That was the main issue.
Yeah. I mean, that
Casting
was the issue.
Casting was just jacked up all
And
the
it would
time.
just stop. It would just randomly stop. Yeah, and it's
And-
super annoying because we put on music in the office and just let it play. And so having music cut off randomly, it's just annoying, especially when you're in the middle of something trying to write or whatever. And so,
and especially when there was Google Play Music / YouTube Music always available,
always working.
And now there's all kinds of different solutions. But like Google Play Music was, it had its issues too. But you know, it's had a fervent fan base. You know, there were people that were really bent out of shape when it went away. I was kind of one of them. I was okay with it as long as I was just like, if YouTube Music will just do. So how long I wrote 6 articles probably about YouTube Music's web player not having a cast button, how absurd that was. I mean, like, those are silly things to not be able to do, and that's one of the things that Spotify couldn't do. Like it was bad at casting. You know, like,
I still miss Google Play Music, and this is my big thing about it, is that my kids are they're not musically inclined, but they love music. They love to just have their, Nest Minis play music, or they'll be on their tablets or whatever. Google Play Music had a toggle for explicit filters.
Yeah.
YouTube Music does not.
Yeah.
Nope.
Now you can, even if you apply like the kids settings with Family Link and all that stuff, it doesn't. So if the kids put on some music and then it just goes to whatever's next,
never know.
You never know what it's going to get.
Spotify does. I haven't tested it yet.
I'd be interested because that would almost be enough to make me switch.
And so what happened was, I think we talked about this before, didn't we? The whole like us sharing the account.
Yeah.
I don't know if we talked about it on here or not. just add it to the pile.
Yeah, just add it on. It is what it is.
But yeah,
we've accepted it at this point.
I've tried it a couple times to this point, and it was casting both times. One time, the first time I tried it, I was like, I don't see enough upside here versus
there was no difference
versus Google Play Music at the time.
Right.
And Google Play Music was the thing that got me onto streaming music. I started with the fact that they had that and had the ability to upload your own stuff. Because that's back in the day. I had
that was
CDs, cool. And I'd converted all of them digitally to 192 kbs.
Yeah.
Which is not like the highest. It's not like Wave, but it also was much better than the streaming standard was 128.
Yep.
You could hear it. Like you basically hear it in like cymbals and high end stuff. Like it has a garbly sound to it when you compress music like that. And so I hated that sound, and I liked having my own stuff. So I uploaded my entire library, like 15,000 songs or something.
Was theirs the Vault? Somebody's was the Vault. I don't know if they had a name for theirs or what.
No, because they just used Google Drive. Like they linked it. It went through all kinds. It was Google, so it went through all kinds of iterations.
8 versions.
Yeah, but the ability to do that and then upload my album art. You could tack on, if you tacked on the album art I had to use a Windows computer to do this. So and you'd have to go through name. Some of the albums wouldn't pick up names. I mean, I put a ton of work into my digital music library.
Right.
And so to know I had it somewhere in the cloud, this was early cloud computing. Mm-hmm. It was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And so that's what kind of turned me on to it. And then I just noticed 6 months to 12 months into using the service, they upped the quality of the streams of their own music, because at first it wasn't good enough. So anything that was my music, I wanted to make sure I heard it in that 192 that I uploaded. And it got better, and their album art was always better, and the naming on the songs was always accurate versus some of the things that I might have messed up over time. And it was just like, well, I started tending to like those, and I started choosing the Google Play version over my version, which is always a clunky thing anyway. Like when you look up an album and have like your version.
Oh yeah.
But that was like the start of me going, yeah, I don't think I'm going to own music anymore.
Yeah.
I don't have anything. I don't have any CDs anymore.
And I still don't
I don't know why I would even want, why would I want them?
And maybe
Even
you
if I
can
had
explain this to me. I still don't understand why people purchase music that way.
People still like the idea of collecting. It's no different than people buying bourbon or anything else. Like,
but
they
even
want to,
digitally,
like,
because
hold it.
I know I have some friends.
Just
I have
download
friends
it.
personally
I
that
have no
buy
idea.
albums from Apple Music, and
No
I'm
clue.
like, why? I don't understand that.
I mean,
I
if
think
you
it's a
don't want to pay the
control thing.
subscription fee,
Right, it's
I
a
mean, if you don't want
control
to pay
thing.
the 10,
But this
See, here's-
person's also a music
They
person
buy
like
stuff all the
we
time,
are.
right? That's what happened to me.
You
I'm
know
like,
who it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I wonder if the artist gets more of a cut when you buy the album instead of stream it.
Possibly,
Probably.
but in this situation, I literally think it's just a matter of not
control.
knowing any different. Honestly,
that could be
I
it,
feel
too.
like what it is, but
Some
I
Is
people-
there,
don't-
are
some
they
people are
streaming as well and listening
I
to
don't-
the?
see, that's the thing. I don't think they stream. I think they just buy stuff that they want.
listen to it.
Yeah.
And I think there's still a lot of people that do that. And I think it's this idea that I don't want, like, what if that service goes away? Like, like I've sold off all my DVDs, for instance. Hey, I'm not going to watch a standard definition DVD like a weirdo anymore.
Like a caveman.
Like all my DVDs were standard def. I didn't have any Blu-rays, and so I made that transition way back. And so it's the same idea there, though. Like, I'm going to buy these things so that I can make sure it doesn't fall off of streaming. Like with movies and TV, that's, I still think, more of a thing. Like, I love Wedding Crashers. I love the movie Wedding Crashers. It's one of those ones every once in a while I just want to watch. And so if I come across it on live television sometimes, I just stop. I went ahead and bought it on Google
Right.
Play Movies, and so I know I can pull that movie up and watch it because I purchased it. It's not going anywhere. But sometimes it's not streaming anywhere.
Yeah.
It's not on a service because these licensing and stuff, they'll bounce around. They can only be on one.
Yeah.
feel like-
Music isn't that way.
I feel like they're in the last, honestly, like the last, gosh, probably since I started using Google Play Music whenever it was fully streaming, there were some times early there when you'd look for an album and it wasn't there yet.
They didn't have it.
Very rare.
And then, like, maybe
But like,
Spotify did or
Yeah.
whatever.
Prince was an example. Prince had an exclusive license with, it might have been Spotify.
yeah,
It was exclusive with one streaming service until he passed away. They've opened that up now, but it was very
Super rare.
very.
Yeah,
I think
and
YouTube
Very
did-
rare now.
YouTube
There are a
did that
few-
whole. They were only on Amazon for a long
Yeah.
time, but that's outlier stuff.
I'm not even going to guess the artist, but it's an older, well-established artist who recently,
Elvis.
no, like pretty recently, and it might have been around some of the Joe Rogan stuff with Spotify, and they said they were pulling their album. They weren't going to have their album on Spotify. It's like there's going to be random ones like that. But in general,
Taylor Swift really threw a fit, but she threw a fit around streaming music
Yeah.
in general for a little bit
Yeah,
there, and she
there-
pulled all her stuff off of
Yeah.
streaming music. Like, I don't
Yeah.
have enough money.
She's making a little
but
money off the
anywho,
tickets.
the point is, like, these days, I cannot remember a time I've searched for an album on Spotify and it wasn't there.
And that's the thing, like, of the streaming services now, it has the most robust. Like, there are lots of artists who do specific albums or
Yes.
specific stuff just for Spotify.
Yep.
And so that's another upside to it. And so the long answer to the question of, like, why do people buy? Man, I have no idea. Like, other than it's this idea that I have this and it won't go away, but it's just not. That's not music anymore. Like, movies is a different thing. And so I'm not sure. I mean, I guess but that's the thing. If I'm paying for Spotify and it somehow they fold up shop, okay, well, I'll go back to YouTube Music. And if that, Google cut it off. All right, well, I'll go to someone's going to pick up that mantle. Guarantee it. There's too much money involved.
Like,
in
I
it.
could almost get, like, I know people who are collectors vinyl and stuff like that. I get that, like, physical stuff, but, like, somewhere at some point I purchased the movie Interstellar. I have still not watched it. Do not judge me. My wife cracks on me about it. Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know where it is.
Oh,
I don't
that's
know
what
what platform I bought it on. It might have been on Movies Anywhere when Movies Anywhere was still a
Vudu.
thing.
It's on Vudu.
It might have been Vudu, which is owned by Walmart. I can't find it because it was on the other day and it was like the last 20 minutes of the movie. And I was like, oh, man, I really need to watch it. So I clicked to see where it was available to watch. It's not on any. I own like 17 streaming services and there's nowhere I can watch this movie because is it Sony?
I think so. Whoever it is that Nolan makes it. His movies
I'm
through.
not sure.
I think it's
I was so mad.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure what the deal is there, but anywho, I for some reason, I guess you had switched back to it here recently. And you've been telling me different things about it, and I was like, I'm kind of interested, and you kind of prove the point that the streaming or the casting has been fixed, because it cut off a couple times. I'm like, see, it's still doing that stupid thing. You're like, no, it's because I've switched over to my earbuds.
Headphones, yeah.
And then I didn't realize what they were doing until I got the Tesla.
Yeah.
And so I got the Tesla, and I thought like, oh, I'll just install some apps. No, that's not a thing. It's very low. It's a car, so that's probably a
Can't
good thing.
side load it.
Yeah, don't want to be hacking this. It needs to be super duper secure. So they have Tidal, Apple Music, and Spotify. Well, Tidal, no. Apple Music. Yeah,
I did the free
Tidal
trial for
Tidal had
yeah.
potential when it first came out,
and
but
they're
it's
all
just,
about lossless audio
Yeah,
and stuff like that. Everything else I listen to, I'm like, I don't have a problem with it. It's not like we're listening to 128 kilobit streaming, and so I was like, well, Spotify is an option in here, and it's built in. Like I was listening to Bluetooth, and sometimes like the playlist I was listening to would show up, and sometimes it wouldn't.
Right.
It's like, it just feels janky, and then I got to make sure the phone's connected and all that stuff every time. Versus getting in there, and you got this big old screen, you just go hit the button, or I sit down and the music just comes right back on because you never really turn the car off, you know. So I was like, this would probably be worth getting a Spotify thing. So I knew you had the subscription.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think they have a family or a group rate or something like that. So we did like the couples. And you got to live in the same address.
It's called Duo, and it was like confirm that this person lives at the same address as you. And I sent it to Robbie and said, "Yikes!"
They should do all these streaming services should do like a broscription.
Yeah,
Like, you pay a little bit more because you don't live in the same place, but you know, like
just group it up.
there's nothing
So,
happening.
If
We're
anybody
just
from
these
Spotify
people,
is listening,
you know?
sorry, but
that's
what
what
we did.
Google does. They let you have your family. You know, it's like
They
friends
share
and family.
Netflix.
I think there's a next
passwords and
tier
everything.
up. The next tier up is like a family account, but I still
for
think you have
people.
to have the same residence.
Probably.
Yeah.
So the residence
Anywho.
is here at the office.
Yeah, we're set up. We're rocking and
We're
rolling.
here enough hours a day.
We own a legal address at this office.
That's
so
right.
There's nothing
Done.
wrong with it.
Can't
You
do
can put
nothing.
me on there.
I
Okay,
do
you
sleep here sometimes.
I don't.
I'm
I've
wrapped
fallen
up in one
asleep
of the
here,
moving
yeah.
blankets.
I've not intentionally gone to bed here ever, but yes.
So yeah, so I went ahead and we got signed up and started using it, and then I realized the brilliance in what Spotify has done with the casting part of their solution. And as soon as I realized it, I'm like, I'm sold. Like, because we have our old boss we talk about all the time, Kenny. You know, he'll constantly be like, oh, look at this thing that Spotify's doing. Like at the end of the year, the way it wraps up all your
it's
stuff
fantastic,
and the way that it recommends things and all this stuff. I'm like, oh, I know Spotify's awesome, and but I
The
get
casting was not.
I get YouTube Music for free with my YouTube Premium account.
Right.
You drag my YouTube Premium account from my cold dead hands.
I'm never giving that up.
No way.
Yeah.
Until they give creators an ad free.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah,
awesome.
that would be nice.
Then I might get rid of it. I don't know.
Then we'd
If
all,
you have
then
a-
we'd all be sharing a YouTube.
Yeah, I
history.
know.
You're like, what have you been watching, dude? Weirdo. Dog music?
Yeah.
What is this?
Mine's just a ton of disc golf videos.
Mine would be video game. I get my kids watch YouTube on the TV on
No,
my
then that's the other
account.
thing. My kids and your kids mixed into
I
the mix.
get Lanky Box and makeup videos.
Lanky Box.
And there's this one.
It'll
there's-
end one day.
Yeah,
I promise.
there's-
Lanky
Yeah.
Box.
They've kind of worn off of that. They're into Preston and Presley now, who are pretty big gang. Which Preston's like 26, but him and his wife. This one girl they watch, all she does is buy unclaimed luggage and unclaimed packages, and she sits in her bedroom. And I mean, they're clearly very well off. They're probably I think they're both YouTubers. But I'm like, this stuff pops up in my feed, and I'm like, what is this?
No, I just go through my
Yeah.
history and delete it all.
Yeah.
Get rid of this. Get this out of the algorithm.
But
It's weird. Yeah.
So I don't remember the point I was making.
So-
So I've got to go in. So their whole thing, Spotify's whole thing now with streaming or with casting, is basically on the back end on the server side with your account. It's basically keeping up with where you are choosing to play back your music. So I can open my phone, I can open my Chromebook, wherever on my watch. The Spotify app on Wear OS is pretty good. I can choose the source. Basically, it's no different than just an output selector, and I can just choose. I can tell it where I want to output my music. So I pick the album, and then I go, well, I'm going to output this to my watch. If I got earbuds paired to my watch, boom, then I can listen to on my watch, and then I can immediately hit that button and tell it to go out of my Chromebook, and then tell it to go out of my phone, and then tell it to go out of the Tesla, or tell it to go out of the cast group becomes a device basically in that list, and so it never has an issue, and it's not just hey, it's casting and it kind of works. It's actually a better solution to the entire thing because, like, so if I've started a cast with my phone, for instance, we're playing our par 3 here in the morning. Then I go to the desk and get ready to start writing. I'm like, I don't want to sit here and be casting from my phone all day. It's easier to go from the Chromebook because if something comes up I don't like or whatever, I can change it. Well, then I can go with YouTube Music. I go to the computer and I click cast, and sometimes it'll just join the existing cast and like put you in the flow, and then I choose a different album. Sometimes it cuts the music off completely.
Starts your cast.
Sometimes it won't find the cast group. Sometimes, like, it's just like, it just depends on
that.
the day.
And I get the like when you're casting, I get the little music note in the shelf, and I can kind of control it, but it's not my cast.
Right.
And
then sometimes if you try to join it, you can. It'll join, and then you keep going, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it stops the cast. Sometimes you got to restart it. Or you join it, it stops the music. You try to start the music, doesn't work. You try to turn off the cast from the web player, and it looks like it turned it off, and then you try to recast to it, and it sits there and spins, and it's like, it's this whole broken thing. Whereas the way Spotify has it done, as soon as I choose that output to a different selection, that cast session stops immediately, and I can restart it if I want to.
Which is a shame, because you would think that the company that created the cast protocol would have, because even simple stuff like moving room, well, I say it's simple stuff, but like moving rooms and different things like that, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And so this has been a fantastic solution. Like, I love the ability to just throw from one device to the next and have that control over it, and know that, like, if I'm listening to something and I'm jamming on it, I can pause it real quick. When I get in the Tesla, if I didn't leave, if I stop the music, if I'm playing something in a Tesla, when it wakes back up, it basically will take over the Spotify stream. It'll stop on my phone immediately, but it won't play what's playing on my phone unless it's not already playing something. So if it was, I'm just on the home screen in Spotify or whatever, it'll pick up and be like, oh, this is where we are now. Stop playback on the phone. I'm starting to play back here. It's like, it's this seamless like handoff transition, and it's on all my devices, and it just works the way it should. I really do like it.
We need to, because it's kind of on their servers, we need to try the like join. So
the join session.
Yeah, the join session stuff. So it's not even that I'm necessarily even casting at that point, right? It's just that I'm joining your cast session through their servers.
I think you can join my session even if I'm not casting.
Right.
I think.
So what does that mean? You pick up on what they're playing?
I got a playlist
so if
going.
he's on his Chromebook on the web interface, and you're playing songs, I can join that session if we're on the same Wi-Fi.
Right, and start messing
and start
around
adding songs.
Add some stuff to the queue, change some stuff, and so we can kind of share. I don't
collaborate.
know. I've not messed with it.
I haven't either, really. I remember Andrew one day was like, hey, let's both... He was playing music. He was like, hey, you can join my session. Yeah.
Right.
And I remember it worked, but I didn't really think about it, and I haven't thought about it until literally just now.
It's all on their end, so you don't have to worry about whether the Wi-Fi and the cast sessions do like
and they must be doing it everything very well, because what did that Google announced something recently where they highlighted Spotify. I don't remember. It might have been with no, it wasn't at the Pixel event.
I don't remember that.
There was something they did, and Spotify was like in the spotlight with it. So I mean,
I don't know.
I'll have to go back and look. It was I don't even know if it was a hardware thing.
I feel like I remember what you're talking about.
Yeah, I do too. I just can't place what it was.
I remember thinking, oh, wow, they're talking about Spotify, not YouTube Music. But
yeah. It's like they're just like, okay, we get it. Most people are on Spotify.
Yeah. And and that's the thing. I looked it up for the article that I wrote too. Like, they are by far the number one streaming platform in the world. Yeah. They're also the number one place for podcasts. Yeah. Period.
And that's
like most plays, most downloads happen through Spotify.
And so my thing too is I'd used Pocket Cast for a long time for podcasts. I also use the Google Podcast app.
Yeah.
But in Spotify, I can literally have my music and my podcast right there. So whenever I get in my truck, I can just tap the podcast and shows, pick up on that podcast right there. Or if I want to listen to music, boom, click over to that album that I was listening to. Like, it's so integrated.
Podcasts in Google Music, Google Play Music at one point.
They started to,
yeah,
right before they shut it down.
But then they created
Google
as they were moving to
YouTube Music. Thing. Yeah, they created that, and so it's just like, again, it's the beauty of seeing a company that has kind of one thing to focus on. Focusing on it.
It is they are.
That's it. That's all they do. And
no
streaming.
They're thinking
audio
through like, how can we make this better for people over and over and over again? And they weren't the best. Like, I did not love Spotify for a long time, and now I'm sold.
The video podcast stuff that they're introducing, I think most podcasts can do it now. I don't know if they fully rolled it out in the U.S. to where everyone can upload a video with their podcast. I know got it. We got access through Anchor, but we upload on YouTube, so that's our kind of hub for that. But there's a lot of people that maybe don't have the know-how or the time to set up a YouTube and do all this different stuff. They can just set it up through Spotify, which is dope. But they have just like honed this product over the years, I'm blanking on their CEO's name right now, but he was on the Tim Ferriss podcast that I listened to several years ago, and I remember just being like, this guy is like got it. Like he knows his stuff, and like this product is really interesting, and I felt like it would evolve. At that time, casting was just it was a no go. Like there's no option to use that service if it was not going to cast in the office for us. But yeah, it's like it's cool to see them evolve and to use this like cloud technology, like obviously they're a cloud company, like all of the streaming they're doing is through the cloud, obviously, but to have this cast stuff and the way it's like using their servers, it's just very cool.
To not feel any drop off, like going to their web app, for instance. Like their web app on the Chromebook is so good.
I still need to send them a message about the show notes though. Show notes are so broken on the web app.
Which is weird.
Can you set so you have both right now, right? Because you have YouTube.
Yeah, so I'll continue
Red
having YouTube.
For y'all that remember that YouTube Red. So, is there a way to set that as your default? Like if I come in the office and I say,
so it's set now.
Oh yeah, mine's set.
So I say, hey G, play whatever. It's gonna default to spot. Well, not. For me.
If you have voice match set up for you,
voice match shouldn't for you, but
for you, it's gonna. Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. That's cool.
And so, like at the house, in it, I feel like it does. I feel like it does a good job. So like you were saying, if you get into the Tesla, it's picking up on what you were listening to on your phone.
If I get out of the Tesla and I didn't stop my music, which I don't normally do, and so say I've been really listening to One Republic's newer album. It's not new, but and so if it's playing, that's what one of those songs is playing in my head right now. So I thought about it. And so if I come into the office and I'm playing our kind of chill hop thing that we have kind of going on here, and I go get in my car, it will take back over. So if my phone, say I had it in my earbuds or whatever, and I'm playing, as soon as I sit in that and the Tesla wakes up, like it'll stop in my earbuds and it'll start on it. Like the Tesla will take over as number one.
Right.
But if it was playing something when I left it, it'll start playing that again, which I kind of like that. At first I was like, well, I kind of wanted to do this. I'm like, I don't. I don't want it to be playing the stuff that we're listening to in the office. But sometimes it does. And it's usually if I've gotten to the end of an album or something and I didn't start something else and I'm getting out of the car and there's no music playing in there. So if it was trying to do something, it's going to restart what it was doing. If not, it'll get out of the way and Spotify will start back what we were doing.
I need to test. So like if I say to the Max, our speaker, if I say, hey, play this, and I open up my phone and put my headphones in, I wonder if it'll pick up on what I had playing on my phone or what I was casting. Probably what was playing on my phone.
Because what happens?
It does automatically switch though. So like, I mean, if I put in my headphones, it automatically is going to start playing. If there's music casting, it will normally start playing. I just can't remember if it's what's on my phone or.
As a metaphor, the way I think about this is regular casting is like just connecting peripherals to a device with Bluetooth. Like you just connect them and they connect or they don't, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. What Spotify's doing is more like hooking in a Logitech dongle. So I'm still wirelessly connecting them, but I'm connecting them to this hub thing that then plugs into a thing. So when I tell Google to cast Spotify, it's going to cast whatever that server's telling it to.
It's the Robbie Payne Spotify hub.
Right.
Boop,
whatever Robbie Payne is doing, it's going to do that thing. And so that's kind of the way it's going. And it's a lot smarter.
Yeah.
That's a much smarter way. What's like once you back up and look at it, it's like, oh,
that makes sense.
That probably should have been
from
doing
an account level instead of
and then it's not stumbling over itself constantly, which I feel like casting is doing. It's like, are you casting and he casting, I'm casting, you're casting.
And the assistants in the mix of all of it. And
YouTube Music does, like some people look at Spotify and think, the number of accounts you can have playing at one time is a limitation. It's like, no, that actually cleans up the experience a lot, because YouTube Music, I can have it going in multiple devices at one time. And so then that gets even more confusing on which one's casting to what and who's doing what. And so it doesn't know. It's like, oh, Robbie Payne's account's being used on 4 things right now. Yeah.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Thanks so much for watching this clip of the Chromecast podcast. This is just a little segment of the full show. If you want to watch the whole thing, it's down in the show notes or in the description. Or I guess it would just be description. You're watching on YouTube.
Down there,
just
somewhere.
Down there. Just go look for a link that says full episode. You'll find it. But if you like this content, make sure to give us a thumbs up. Go down there and click subscribe, and make sure to click the notification bell over on the right side so that you get an alert when we put out future clips just like this one. But that's it for this one. We'll catch you all in the next one. Bye bye.